But there's Nick Valencia right there. Nick, great to see you again, my friend. It's been too
Great to see you
long.
too, Jim.
We'll have to do this often, but let's jump right to it. What are you seeing out there? You're just outside of LA, is that right? What's going on?
Well, we're actually right outside one of the sites that have been one of the most active sites for demonstrations against anti-immigration policies by the Trump administration. And you see here behind me, this is the back entrance of the Metropolitan Detention Center. And this has been a very active area of protest. It was, in fact, just a short time ago that we saw a caravan of federal vehicles make their way in. And that was probably the most tense that we saw things get. You know, it animated the crowd. This is exactly why they're here. They saw people coming in who they believed had been detained wrongfully, and they were expressing their frustrations. Let me set the scene for you here, because as you have seen in the last several days, things have been very, very active at night. And so this is one of those places that has been active. And you see the presence of the Army, you see federal agents here, Customs and Border Protection. On the front entrance of this Metropolitan Detention Center, it's a strong presence of California National Guard. But I want to talk to some people who have been here. So come just follow me. One of the critiques that we've seen here is, waving of the Mexican flag. But today we've seen a lot more American flags. We've seen flags that have been sort of, a mix. The California Republic flag here. Let me talk to somebody. Hey, we're live on social media. We'd love to hear from you and why you showed up here. Do you have a personal connection to what's happening, or what brought you out?
Yeah, my parents were immigrants at one point too, and I know a lot of people that aren't here. Literally at work, and we that they're people crying because they were having people getting deported. I have coworkers that are in their process of getting their paperwork. All that, and she's scared. And I'm here for people that can't be here because it's not fair that they're getting deported. Basically, the criminals that are getting deported. Why are all the people that are getting deported the ones that are from work, from the field, and stuff like that?
I'm really interested.
Yeah.
I'm a native Angelino, and it was in the 90s that we had what was seen as anti-immigration legislation in Prop 187. That was a piece of legislation proposed by then Governor Pete Wilson that was seen as anti-immigrant. It would allow teachers to have basically handed over their students based on their documented status. Do you remember that? Has that inspired any people? Because I've talked to a lot of native Angelinos, and they remember that from their childhood, and that's reoccurring trauma for them being out here again, and that's really inspired them to be out.
Really? Well, I didn't even hear about
Yeah.
that. But like I said, I'm here because I'm supporting the people that are getting deported and the families that are getting, like, torn apart from this. Also, like, their parents that are working for, like, a better future for their kids, and they're getting taken away from them. And it's not fair. It's not. It's a land made of pure immigrants, and we're the criminals. It's not fair. And I'm here for that because they can't stand up here. They can't defend themselves. I'm here helping, trying to. Yeah.
Talk to me about your sign. No human is illegal, because that's something that we also hear people push back on. It's saying this is common sense policies, right, Jim? That this is law and order, but this is really a dehumanizing statement to call somebody illegal. And I want you to speak on that.
Yeah.
Right. Great. Thank you. Jim, I know we're having a little bit of audio problems.
No, you're doing great. Nick, I was just going to say, I think maybe she was kind of holding an American flag there a little bit too, right? Is that on?
She is. That's right. Do you have an American flag with you as well? Is that someone? Your sister's flag. Yeah,
The sister's flag.
Okay, we'd love to talk to you. You're the sister. Yeah.
We're such united we stand, and I feel like that's important because it's all about we the people. And so obviously, I think that we all sitting together and voices to be heard.
Did you hear what Governor Gavin Newsom said yesterday? I mean, do you think that it was a full-throated endorsement of the demonstrations? Do you feel like he has your back?
Yes, I do. He's upset with it too?
Guys, I want to spin away here because this is some of the activity that's caused some frustration. You see
What's
some
happening?
more Homeland Security vehicles, Federal Protection Service vehicles, and when that happens, you see these Homeland Security agents that come out to create a phalanx for protection, because their fear, of course, is that they say they believe that some of these demonstrators may storm the back end of this detention center. Let's be clear, it has been an animated crowd, but no signs of violence whatsoever. I mean, people are here, feel like they're doing their civic duty. They feel as though they have a right to protest, Jim.
And Nick, I was going to ask you, I mean, A couple of things. One is when folks say stuff about Mexican flags, they need to understand there's a long history of ethnic pride in Southern California, in Los Angeles. I grew up in the Washington, D.C. area. My dad came from Cuba. He liked to have the Cuban flag in the house from time to time, not because he was a communist, not because he was a Fidel Castro guy. He fled Castro. He fled Cuba. It's because people have ethnic pride. It's the same reason why people put they put Irish flags out on St. Patrick's Day and so on. Like if someone carries a Mexican flag doesn't mean that they want the U.S. to be part of Mexico. It's such an ignorant point of view. The other thing is, Nick, the other thing, Nick, is have you seen a lot of rioting and violence there? You're in LA.
Yeah.
What are you seeing?
Let's be clear. The city is not on fire. There are pockets of demonstrations that are happening, and this is one of those pockets of demonstration. I was just in Hollywood yesterday. It was a normal day on the streets. There are areas throughout Los Angeles which are seeing an activity of demonstrations, of civil protests, people marching in the streets. Yesterday, when I was marching along downtown Los Angeles, people were getting in the streets, and some had, some were watching on social media, and they were frustrating that individuals were walking in the middle of the street, but there was no looting. I did see some graffiti, some people that were taking advantage of what was, maybe an otherwise unstable, not really chaotic situation, but, sort of one that is very animated and one that causes people to get riled up from time to time. I didn't see any violence. What I saw was a lot of people that were, like, as you mentioned, proud of being from here. I'm from here, born and raised native Los Angelino, and I grew up with that flag being waved next to me alongside the American flag. There was never any sense of somebody being ungrateful of being here. It was just a sense of pride. Now, I can't speak for everyone. We can't make sweeping generalizations about everyone, just like we can't make sweeping generalizations about this crowd. There are people who are taking advantage of a situation here. Others, though, that are in good faith and moving in good faith to use their voices and make them heard. And they feel like their moment is now, because Los Angeles is the backdrop and the epicenter of that resistance movement against the Trump administration.
And Nick, does it feel different given the fact that you grew up in LA and you know the area well?
Yeah.
What does it feel like for you to see soldiers in the streets?
I grew up here, and I was here for Rodney King. I was here for the National Guard on the streets. I covered countless demonstrations in the network that I was at before and saw the National Guard in Baltimore. It's a different thing, though, when you see these, military-esque type law enforcement officers that are head to toe in tactical gear and long guns. People feel as though that escalated the situation when the Guard got here. I talked to countless, I'm so sorry. I talked to countless demonstrators who feel as though that was antagonizing to them and that they were using their voices in a peaceful way, only to be met with, aggression. Look, it's to be clear and rigorously honest, there are people here that are looting. I talked to somebody yesterday who said that they were just waiting for nightfall to take advantage and go looting. The majority of the people that I talked to, Jim, they're out here because their families have been taken. They've seen people, taken and swept up without due process. I've heard another criticism that they say this is just over 40 people. It's well beyond that. This is a ripple wave. It's not just 40 people that were detained in a night's raid on Friday that caused this. It is the countless people that have been sent to El Salvador, to black sites, to have been basically disappeared, that has led to this animation and this passion of voices that are out here. This is one of the people that I want to talk to. He's carrying an American flag. Hey, we're live on social media. I told you I wanted to talk to you. You came out here a short time ago, and you were very, very passionate about being here. Talk to me about why you're out here. And tell me your name.
My name is Jose Padilla. I was born and raised in Los Angeles, and I'm right here to stand for people that are afraid of immigration. I stand for all international people, hard workers and students only that come right here for a better life. I don't support criminals. I don't support crime or violent protests. I support peaceful protests, and I support every human being that comes here for a better life.
This is personal for you.
It's personal, because I stand for what's right, and I feel like this is right, I'm doing. It's time for other people, not just Mexico, not just me. I do it for everybody, all human race.
And that's what I'm hearing. I hear people talk about this man-made construct of laws, Jim. That this is they're legal or they're illegal because someone says. But you're talking about a spiritual construct. You're talking about morality here and doing what's right morally for you.
Yeah, of course. And honestly, I'm right here standing against hate, against evil, which is Trump, against racism, which is Trump, and his supporters, his evil supporters, not all his supporters, his evil supporters that support racism and hate and create all this division in our country. That's what I'm against.
Jim, do you have any questions for folks here? Would you like to ask anything?
No, I guess my question would be, why carry the flag? Why carry the American flag? Because to
Why carry
me,
the American flag?
yeah,
He wants to know.
Because I was born and raised here. This is my country. You know, I was born right here. You know, my roots are Mexican, but this is my country. You know, I'm not against my country. I'm against Trump. I'm against evil. I'm against racism in our country. This is the United States. You know, we're influential to a lot of countries all around the world. And what we're showing you right now, it's not, it doesn't align with the United States.
It's almost like you're telling me you feel as though the right has co-opted this and you're taking the flag back.
Yes, of course, of course. You know, like this is not what America is about. This is not what America is about. America is the
damn straight.
for a better life. You know, that's what we're about. You know, I'm not against nothing. I'm against racism. I'm
Love it.
against hate and evil.
Yes. Thank you so much, Jose, for your passion and for your voice. We really appreciate you. And you know, he's just a microcosm and just one
Yeah.
small example of the passion that we're seeing out here. And as people drive by, you're hearing them scream and shout in support. You know, you're seeing countless numbers of cars just come through in traffic, honking the horns. You know, very spirited. People throwing their thumbs up right now. You know, this
Yeah.
car that I'm looking at has an upside down American flag hanging outside of its window. And then you have this crowd here that plans on being here for as long as it takes for things to change, Jim.
Nick, great job out there. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And thank you for showing that you have patriotic people protesting. The last time I checked, protesting is patriotic in America. But Nick Valencia, great to see you again. Thank you so much.
Jim, journalism at its best is an active service, and that's what we're right here. We're giving a voice to the people and using our platform to help.
Love it. Thank you, Nick. Keep doing it. We'll do it
Thank
again.
you.
Good
All
to
right,
see you,
brother.
my
Thank you.
man. I
You too.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.